Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Rabbi.
We're learning Mishnah Kesubos, Perek Beis, Chapter 2, Mishnah Vav, Mishnah 6. Okay, continuing a discussion about women who have been captured. Shtei nashim shenishbu. Two women were taken captive. Zoi semeris tishpeisi tahirani. One says, I was taken captive, but I am pure, meaning I was not violated, and therefore I can marry a Kohen. And the other one says, I was taken captive and I am pure, meaning again, I was not violated, and therefore I can marry a Kohen. They are not believed. Now in this case, we know they were taken captive. There were witnesses that were taken captive. We're not relying on them. We don't need them to tell us they were taken captive. We know they were taken captive. But each one is saying that nothing happened to me. They're not believed. Under that situation, we're not believed to say they were not violated. Now that is as we mentioned previously, the fact that we assume that something happened, and therefore say that she may not marry a Kohen, that is a rabbinic law. And therefore, the following Mishnah, we continue. The next part of the Mishnah follows. And in a situation where each one testifies about the other. Don't forget, these are two women that were taken captive. It means they were taken captive together. In the first case, they just talk about themselves. But in the second case, they talk about the other one. Each one says about the other one that they were not violated. Each one has one witness. Not only one witness, a woman witnessing, testifying that nothing happened to her. They are believed. They are believed. In this case, they're going to be believed. And here's the explanation. Normally, when a woman's permissibility to marry is in doubt, two male witnesses are required to testify that she is permitted. However, since the prohibition of a captive woman to a Kohen is only rabbinic, based on a suspicion that she might have been violated by her captors, the rabbis decreed that the testimony of one female is enough. I mean, again, we don't know what happened to her. We're assuming what happened to her. That's a rabbinic law to make that assumption and therefore give her a status of a woman who can't marry a Kohen. Well, being that's a rabbinic decree, the rabbis also decreed that actually one witness is also enough. One woman witness is also enough. And as the Baratinura points out, it's not only about one woman, it's about even an eved, even a slave, even and there are other. So a minor who is Mesech Lefi Tumah, a minor who's just kind of was not answering a question about it, but just mentioned it, so to speak, in passing. Similar to what we have by a woman whose husband died, where we allow testimony from people that typically we wouldn't. In this case, we also will accept testimony even from one witness who's a woman, and that's what's happening here in this case. In this case, each one is testifying on behalf of the other. Now, what's also brought down here from the Gemara, interestingly, is the Mishnah teaches, so the Mishnah is really teaching us a law that a woman can testify about another woman that she wasn't violated. So the Mishnah teaches that we even allow two women to testify about each other. We are not concerned that they might have made an agreement between themselves in which one testifies falsely for her friend so that her friend will testify falsely for her. When two women come together or take a capture together and they're testifying about each other, we could have said that maybe they both made up, you testify for me, I'll testify for you, so that we won't become disqualified from Kohanim. So the Mishnah is teaching us, no, we don't say that. Meaning it's not only, so to speak, an outside witness, even if it's only one or it's a woman. An outside witness would somehow or another testify that she wasn't violated, that we believe these kind of witnesses. But even if they were both captured together, and there's a possibility to think that they are in cahoots of testifying about each other, that they weren't violated when they really were, the Mishnah says no. Even in a situation that they were both taken captive, each one can testify for the other. Okay, that is Mishnah Vav. Mishnah Zayin, Mishnah 7 is similar. V'chein shnei anoshim. So too you have two men. Oh, one last thing. Interestingly, the Baratinura adds about these witnesses, the woman, the slave, all these people, in order for them to testify that she wasn't violated, the Baratinura says, This witness has to say, we never left each other's side. The witness has to say, how do you know she wasn't violated? How do you know? The answer is, we were together the entire time. So that's a very interesting stipulation. In order to be able, again, this is still novel because these people typically are just not kosher witnesses. So the Chacham and the sages made them acceptable in this case, but it's got to be that they have to say, not only are they saying she's not violated, how do you know? The answer is, I never left her side. Which in the case of the two women captured together, that could work very, very easily. All right, Mishna Zayin. You have two men. Each one says, I'm a Kayan. Do we believe them? Nope. Enim them on him. They're not believed. Person can't just walk in and say, I'm a Kohen, and therefore eat Truma. At least for that. Let's put it that way. They are not entitled to any of the privileges of Kohanim, such as being allowed to eat Truma, reading first from the Torah, reciting the priestly blessings, performing the sacrificial service in the temple. Okay? So, nowadays, a guy walks into a shul, he says he's a Kohen, gets an aliyah. So, maybe that's the difference between, in the times of the Mishnah, when they knew who the Kohanim, they had a more of an established way of the lineage was more kept on top of in order to know who's really a Kohen. But that's what the Mishnah here is saying. The Mishnah here is saying that the person comes and says, I'm a Kohen, and, maybe the case here is because until now he assumed he wasn't, But the Mishnah is saying here that a person cannot go in and say, I'm a Kohen, and get the privileges of being a Kohen. All right, so that's the first part of the Mishnah. Each one says, I'm a Kohen. Again, he's only talking about himself, and they're not believed. Now, but when they testify about each other, the guy says, each one says, I and my friend are a Kohen. So they got to say they're a Kohen, right? But they're not believed for that. But if they say, but if each one says on the other one that they're a Kohen, then they'll be believed. Meaning each one, you can have one witness come and say the person's a Kohen. Now, number one, just like we said before, are we concerned that they made a plan with it? They made this kind of trick with each other, this plan with each other. You testify for me, I'll testify for you. We don't say that. They're trusted, they're believed. But only one is permitted. So the explanation is, he is even permitted to eat Truma because with respect to prohibitions, one witness, male or female, is enough. Two male witnesses are required only for financial and marital matters. Get that? Two witnesses, when it comes to a monetary issue, you need two witnesses. Comes to marital issues, right? She's married, she's divorced, this and that, you need two witnesses. However, the issue about being a Kohen is a matter of isurin, prohibitions. It's not monetary, it's not marital. It's about allowed or not allowed. Is he allowed to eat Truma? Is he not?
Couldn't it be considered marital because?
No, that will make differences, but those differences are going to be astringencies, not leniencies. But again, it's not, when we talk about marital, really, well, it shouldn't say all marital, but I'm saying, we're talking about marital for sure if you want to make her permitted. And in order to create the marriage, you have to have two witnesses also. But in this case, it's not directly about marriage. It's about his status as a Kohen. And that makes a difference about, like you say, who we can marry, we can't marry, but it makes a difference on the call it the positive side. Can he eat Truma or not? Can he duchen or not? Will he get the first aliyah or not? Will he do the service in the base of mikdash or not? These are all questions of isser v'heter, permissibility and not permissibility. And regarding that, we have a rule, ein echad neman b'isurin. One witness is believed when it comes to prohibitions. If you go into somebody's house and they tell you it's kosher, you can believe them. Not two witnesses, it's one. A woman says it's kosher. You can believe her. That's the halacha. Ein echad neman b'isurin. One witness is believed when it comes to prohibitions. And therefore, in our case, where the issue is, so he can't say about himself. Can't say about himself to give himself the privileges of a Kohen. He can't do that for himself. Because maybe he's not saying the truth. We have to be suspect that he wants to give himself privileges. But once we're talking about someone else testifying, then that falls under the category of Ein Echadim Bisurin. One witness is believed regarding prohibitions, and therefore, when each one of them testifies about the other one, he's a Kohen, he's believed, and all the privileges go to him.
That's difficult.
Okay. Now, so the Chofetz Chaim was talking about where he said that people, unfortunately, when they hear someone informed on them, they go and inform on the other person, and that seems to be this assumption that he did it to me. The case was someone informed upon him, and he has on another Jew Dvarim Karim, some kind of evidence that that person actually did it to him, and based on that evidence, he goes and he informs on the other person because there's this assumption he informs on. People say somebody informs on you, go inform on him. So the Chofetz Chaim says that's a mistake, and the first mistake we mentioned yesterday was that this is only if by informing upon him there's some kind of purpose from it, not just revenge. If the purpose of informing on him is because there's some way to stop him from continuing to make you problems, and there's no other way to do it, okay, then there's a possibility of actually going ahead and informing upon him. But he says, but number two, this case is people want to rely on evidence. There's one thing if you know the guy informed on you. How do you know? You saw it, right? You were there when he went and he did it. But now to rely on evidence, that's not going to help you. Even if we're talking about real evidence that he saw it himself. And all the more so if, let's say, people are the ones who said that you're just relying on what people say. In that situation, you can't even believe it because until they come and testify in the Beis Din, there's no whether you have basis to believe it. And all the more so it's forbidden to go ahead and to rely on actually causing a loss to his friend, even if his intention is for some constructive purpose for the future. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful Yontif.
Thank you, Rabbi. That's a difficult.